You do not need to fight every battle. You need to choose the right ones and win them before they begin. Most waste energy proving strength. You will conserve yours by positioning, observing, waiting. When your enemy is overextended, you strike. When the path is open, you move. This is not hesitation. It is strategy. Victory becomes effortless when preparation is perfect. You win not by chance, but by clarity. Subscribe to our channel if you're ready to master your mind. And tell us, where are you watching from? Listen carefully. The greatest generals in history understood one truth that escapes the common mind. Victory is not about the clash of swords. It is not about the thunder of armies meeting in the field. It is about achieving your objective without needing to fight at all. The supreme excellence is to subdue the enemy without fighting. This is not weakness. This is mastery. Think about your daily conflicts, the argument you had yesterday, the confrontation at work, the battle with your own limitations. How much energy did you spend? How much did you accomplish? Most people exhaust themselves in pointless struggles, proving nothing except their own lack of wisdom. The wise commander wins before the battle begins. He studies the terrain. He understands his opponent. He positions his forces where victory is inevitable. When the moment comes, the outcome is already decided. The enemy surrenders not because they are defeated, but because they recognize defeat is certain. But let me ask you this. How many battles in your life could you have avoided entirely? How many confrontations happened only because you chose to engage? How many victories did you miss because you were too busy fighting unnecessary wars? The master strategist does not seek conflict. He seeks resolution. He does not prove his strength through violence. He demonstrates it through control. When others rush forward in anger, he remains still. When others exhaust themselves in rage, he conserves his energy for what matters. Consider the water that flows around the rock. It does not fight the stone. It simply finds another path. Over time, the water carves through mountains while the rock remains unchanged, worn down by forces it could never resist. Your ego wants to fight. Your pride demands confrontation. Your emotions scream for immediate action. Ignore them all. These are the voices of the defeated, echoing from battles already lost. Here's what most people don't understand. Every time you engage in unnecessary conflict, you reveal your position. You show your capabilities. You expose your weaknesses. The smart opponent will note these things and use them against you later. The truly strategic mind operates differently. It observes without being observed. It influences without being detected. It achieves objectives while others remain unaware that a battle ever took place. Think of the executive who gets promoted without office politics, the negotiator who gets everything they want while the other side feels satisfied, the leader who transforms opposition into alliance without a single harsh word. This is victory without battle. Your strength is not measured by how many fights you win. It is measured by how many fights you avoid while still achieving your goals. The amateur seeks to prove himself in every encounter. The master proves nothing and accomplishes everything. When you must fight, fight decisively. When you can win without fighting, that victory is 10 times more valuable. It costs you nothing. It reveals nothing. It preserves your resources for battles that truly matter. Stop looking for conflicts to prove your worth. Start looking for paths that lead around them entirely. The enemy you never engage cannot learn your methods. The battle you never fight cannot drain your energy. The victory you achieve without struggle cannot be taken from you. This is the first principle of effortless victory. Master it, and you have already won more than most will accomplish in a lifetime of struggle. The path forward requires no violence, only vision. The victory ahead demands no battle, only wisdom. Wake up, you are already at war. Not the kind with uniforms and flags, but the kind that determines whether you live as a master or a slave to circumstance. Every day brings battles. Some you see coming, most you do not. The battlefield is everywhere. It is in the meeting room where decisions shape your future. It is in the conversation that could end a relationship or save it. It is in the moment you choose between discipline and comfort, between growth and stagnation, between truth and convenient. Lies. You think peace means the absence of conflict. You are wrong. Peace is the mastery of conflict. The general who wins every war is not the one who never fights. He is the one who fights the right battles at the right time with the right strategy. Your mind is the primary battlefield. Every morning you wake to competing forces, fear against courage, laziness against ambition, doubt against confidence. These are not abstract concepts. They are armies fighting for control of your actions, your decisions, your destiny. Most people lose this war before breakfast. They surrender to the first negative thought. They yield to the comfortable choice. They follow the path of least resistance, straight into mediocrity. They mistake the absence of external enemies for the presence of peace. But let me ask you this. How many opportunities did you miss because you were not prepared for battle? How many dreams died because you thought the war was over when it had barely begun? The strategic mind understands that conflict is constant. It does not wish for battle to end. It prepares for battle to be won. It trains when others rest. It studies when others celebrate. It remains vigilant when others grow complacent. Consider your workplace. Every interaction contains the seeds of conflict or cooperation. Every email could advance your position or weaken it. Every meeting is a chance to demonstrate competence or reveal weakness. The naive employee believes they are simply doing their job. The strategic employee understands they are fighting for their future. Your relationships are battlefields too, not against your loved ones, but alongside them against the forces that destroy connection, misunderstanding, neglect, pride, selfishness. These enemies attack every bond worth preserving. The couple that thinks love conquers all will lose to the couple that fights for love every day. Here's what most people don't understand. The war never stops, but the battles can be chosen. You cannot avoid conflict, but you can decide where to engage it. You cannot eliminate opposition, but you can determine which opposition deserves your energy. The undisciplined fighter engages every provocation. The master picks his spots. He lets small slights pass to preserve strength for significant threats. He ignores minor irritations to focus on major opportunities. He saves his ammunition for targets that matter. Your health is under siege from comfort and convenience. Your focus is attacked by distraction and noise. Your time is invaded by urgency disguised as importance. Your peace is threatened by emotions masquerading as facts. These battles rage whether you acknowledge them or not. The difference between victory and defeat is simple. The victor fights with intention. The defeated fight by reaction. The victor chooses the battlefield. The defeated accepts whatever ground they are given. The victor prepares for war in times of peace. The defeated hopes for peace in times of war. Stop pretending the battle is somewhere else. Stop waiting for the conflict to find you. It has already found you. It found you the moment you decided you wanted something more than what you have. It found you when you chose growth over comfort, excellence over adequacy, purpose over pleasure. The war is here. The war is now. The war is yours to fight or yours to lose, but it cannot be avoided, ignored, or wished away. Accept this truth, and you gain the power to engage it strategically. Your victory begins with this recognition. Patience is not passive. It is the most aggressive strategy in existence. While others exhaust themselves in premature action, you gather strength. While they reveal their capabilities too early, you study and prepare. While they fight battles they cannot win, you position yourself for battles you cannot lose. The undisciplined mind confuses speed with effectiveness. It believes that immediate action demonstrates strength. It attacks at the first opportunity, regardless of conditions. This is not courage. This is foolishness, dressed in the costume of bravery. The master understands timing. He knows that the right action at the wrong moment fails. He knows that perfect preparation followed by precise execution defeats hasty brilliance every time. He waits not because he fears conflict, but because he respects it. Think of the archer who draws his bow. The arrow has tremendous power, but only after the string is pulled back completely. Release too early, and the arrow falls short. Wait too long, and the muscles tire, and the aim wavers. Perfect timing requires perfect tension held at the perfect moment. Your opportunities work the same way. Rush toward them unprepared, and you waste them. Wait too long, and they pass. The strategic mind identifies the moment when conditions align, when preparation meets opportunity, when action becomes inevitable. But let me ask you this: how many failures in your life came from moving too quickly rather than too slowly? How many mistakes could have been avoided with another day of preparation, another hour of thought, another moment of patience? The impatient fighter shows his hand too early. He reveals his strategy before the battle begins. He commits his resources to inferior positions. He allows his opponent to respond and adapt. By the time he realizes his error, the advantage has shifted permanently. The patient strategist observes first. He studies the patterns. He identifies the weaknesses. He waits for the opponent to make the mistake that creates the opening. Only then does he move, and when he moves, the outcome is certain. Consider the entrepreneur who launches before the product is ready, the investor who buys at the peak of excitement, the job seeker who accepts the first offer without negotiation, the student who answers before fully understanding the question. These are not examples of boldness. They are examples of impatience destroying potential. Here's what most people don't understand. Time is not your enemy. Urgency is. The feeling that you must act now, decide now, move now, is almost always a trap. It forces you to operate with incomplete information and inadequate preparation. The truly urgent situations in life are rare. Most of what feels urgent is simply uncomfortable. Most of what demands immediate action can wait for better conditions. Most of what seems like a now or never opportunity will present itself again in improved form. Your emotions want immediate satisfaction. Your ego wants immediate recognition. Your fears want immediate relief. These voices create false urgency. They manufacture crises that do not exist. They pressure you into action that serves them, not you. The disciplined mind ignores these voices. It operates on strategic time, not emotional time. It moves when conditions are optimal, not when feelings are intense. It strikes when victory is assured, not when pride is wounded. This does not mean endless delay. This does not mean paralysis by analysis. This means calculated patience. This means purposeful preparation. This means waiting for your moment while actively creating the conditions that will make that moment arrive. Watch the competition. Rush forward. Let them reveal their methods. Let them exhaust their resources. Let them make the mistakes that experience teaches. Then, when they are overextended and vulnerable, when the path is clear and the timing is perfect, you move with the certainty of water flowing downhill. They will wonder how you made it look so easy. You will know the secret. Effortless victory belongs to those who refuse to fight until fighting becomes effortless. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. But here's the truth most never grasp. The enemy you face outside is nothing compared to the enemy within. Your greatest opponent is not the competition, the market, or the obstacles in your path. Your greatest opponent is the collection of weaknesses, fears, and illusions you carry in your own mind. Most people spend years studying their competition and zero time studying themselves. They can tell you every detail about their rival's strategy, but cannot identify their own patterns of failure. They prepare for external battles while internal sabotage destroys them from within. The strategic mind begins with brutal self-assessment. It examines strengths without ego. It acknowledges weaknesses without shame. It identifies blind spots without excuse. It faces the truth about capabilities, limitations, and tendencies with the same clarity it would apply to enemy intelligence. What triggers your anger? When do you make impulsive decisions? Where does your attention scatter? What fears paralyze your action? Which successes breed overconfidence? These are not philosophical questions. These are tactical intelligence about your own operational capacity. But let me ask you this. When was the last time you honestly assessed your own performance? When did you last identify a weakness and work systematically to eliminate it? When did you last catch yourself in a pattern of self-defeating behavior and break it? The undisciplined fighter projects strength he does not possess. He enters battles he cannot win. He commits to strategies his character cannot sustain. His defeats come not from superior opposition, but from inferior self-knowledge. The master knows exactly what he can and cannot do. He operates within his strengths while working to expand them. He acknowledges his limitations while developing plans to overcome them. He enters only battles where his capabilities match the requirements for victory. Your emotions are weapons that can be turned against you. Your habits are either allies or saboteurs. Your beliefs either empower your actions or constrain them. Your energy has patterns and rhythms that determine when you are strong and when you are vulnerable. Here's what most people don't understand. Self-knowledge is not self-acceptance. Knowing your weaknesses does not mean keeping them. Understanding your limitations does not mean living within them forever. Recognizing your patterns does not mean surrendering to them. Self-knowledge is the foundation for self-transformation. You cannot change what you do not acknowledge. You cannot improve what you do not measure. You cannot master what you do not understand. The strategic mind treats itself as both the weapon and the target. It sharpens its strengths like blades. It eliminates its weaknesses like enemies. It studies its own behavior with the same intensity it applies to battlefield intelligence. Consider your decision-making under pressure, your communication when stakes are high, your focus when distractions multiply, your persistence when progress slows, your judgment when emotions run strong. These are the true measures of your strategic capacity. Most people know themselves only in comfortable conditions. They have never tested their limits, never pushed beyond their perceived capabilities, never operated under real pressure. They mistake their identity for their conditioning and their potential for their past. The disciplined warrior creates conditions to test himself. He seeks challenges that reveal character. He places himself in situations that demand growth. He discovers what he is capable of by demanding more than he thinks possible. Know your mind's tendencies toward optimism and pessimism. Know your body's patterns of energy and fatigue. Know your spirit's sources of motivation and discouragement. This knowledge becomes your strategic advantage in every battle you face. The enemy you defeat outside reflects the enemy you have already conquered within. Master yourself, and mastery of circumstances follows naturally. The blind general loses before the battle begins. He stumbles into conflicts he cannot win. He commits resources to strategies that cannot succeed. He operates on assumptions that reality will soon destroy. His defeats are inevitable because his vision is absent. The master sees everything before he acts on anything. He studies the terrain of possibility. He maps the positions of all players. He identifies the forces at work, the patterns in motion, the currents of influence that shape outcomes. Only when the picture is complete does he choose his move. Most people operate in perpetual blindness. They react to what they see without understanding what they are looking at. They mistake symptoms for causes. They confuse activity for progress. They navigate by emotion instead of observation. The strategic mind sees layers others miss. It sees the immediate situation and the forces that created it. It sees the current moment and the trajectory it suggests. It sees the obvious moves and the hidden ones. It sees what is and what could be. Consider the negotiation that appears to be about price, but is actually about respect. The argument that seems to be about facts, but is really about power. The opportunity that looks like a windfall, but carries hidden costs. The person who speaks of cooperation while planning competition. But let me ask you this. How many mistakes in your life came from acting on incomplete information? How many opportunities did you miss because you saw only the surface? How many defeats came from misreading the situation entirely? The impatient mind sees what it wants to see. It finds evidence for decisions it has already made. It ignores contradictory signals. It rushes toward conclusions that feel comfortable rather than conclusions that are accurate. The disciplined observer sees what is actually there. He sets aside his preferences to understand the facts. He questions his assumptions to discover the truth. He looks for the patterns that others miss because they are too focused on the details. Here's what most people don't understand. Observation is not passive. It is the most active form of intelligence gathering. It requires focus, discipline, and the ability to separate signal from noise. It demands that you see without being seen, understand without revealing your understanding. The battlefield changes constantly. New players enter, old alliances shift, hidden agendas surface, resources flow in unexpected directions. The observer who mapped the terrain yesterday must update his intelligence today or operate with dangerous assumptions tomorrow. Your personal battles require the same careful observation. Study the patterns in your relationships. Notice the cycles in your energy. Identify the triggers that create your problems. Recognize the signals that predict your successes. The strategic mind treats information like ammunition. It gathers constantly, stores systematically, and deploys precisely. It never assumes that what was true yesterday will be true tomorrow. It never believes that what works in one situation will work in another without careful analysis. Watch how people behave when they think no one is paying attention. Notice what they choose when they think no one will know. Observe what they do when pressure increases or stakes rise. These moments reveal true character and real intentions. The surface. Conversation tells you what people want you to think. The body language tells you what they actually feel. The pattern of their actions tells you what they truly believe. The master reads all three layers simultaneously. Most people see only the move being made. The strategic observer sees the move being made, the move that enabled it, and the move it is setting up. He sees the game within the game, the strategy behind the tactics, the long-term pattern expressed in short-term actions. Vision without action is useless. Action without vision is dangerous. The combination of clear sight and precise movement creates effortless victory. See first, understand completely, then move with the certainty of one who knows the outcome is already decided. The battle belongs to those who see it most clearly before it begins. Position is everything. Power is nothing without proper positioning. The weakest army on the high ground defeats the strongest army in the valley. The smallest player in the right place controls the largest player in the wrong place. Positioned multiplies capability and transforms disadvantage into dominance. Most people focus on strength when they should focus on placement. They build capabilities while ignoring context. They develop skills while neglecting their strategic location. They wonder why their efforts produce minimal results when their position produces no leverage. The master understands that where you stand determines what you can accomplish. He seeks positions that amplify his strengths and minimize his weaknesses. He places himself where small efforts produce large results, where natural forces work in his favor, where victory becomes inevitable through intelligent positioning. Think of the entrepreneur who enters a market at the perfect moment, the investor who positions for the trend before it becomes obvious, the professional who builds relationships before needing them. The leader who places himself where his voice will be heard when it matters most. Position is not about location alone. It is about timing, relationships, information, resources, and influence. It is about being in the right place, at the right time, with the right capabilities, connected to the right people, aware of the right opportunities. But let me ask you this. Where are you positioned in your career, your relationships, your financial future? Are you placed where growth is possible or where stagnation is guaranteed? Are you positioned to benefit from change or to be victimized by it? The reactive mind accepts whatever position circumstances provide. It adapts to its environment instead of choosing its environment. It works harder to overcome positional disadvantages instead of working smarter to achieve positional advantages. The strategic mind actively creates favorable positions. It moves before movement becomes necessary. It builds bridges before needing to cross them. It establishes advantageous ground while opponents are still fighting over inferior territory. Here's what most people don't understand. Positioning is not about competing for existing spaces. It is about creating new spaces where competition is irrelevant. It is about finding the place where your unique combination of capabilities becomes uniquely valuable. The general who fights from the commanding height forces his enemy to attack uphill. Every step the enemy takes costs energy, while every defense the general makes conserves it. Position turns the natural forces of gravity, fatigue, and momentum into allies. Your professional position should work the same way. Place yourself where your expertise is rare but valuable. Position yourself where your connections provide unique access. Establish yourself where your reputation creates automatic credibility. The networked economy rewards positioning over pure capability. The connected professional defeats the isolated expert. The visible contributor outperforms the hidden genius. The positioned player controls opportunities that raw talent alone cannot access. Consider your position in conversations, meetings, and negotiations. Are you positioned to influence outcomes or merely to observe them? Are you placed where your input will be valued or where it will be ignored? Are you positioned to benefit from decisions or to be affected by them? The strategic mind thinks in terms of multiple positions simultaneously: professional position, financial position, social position, informational position. Each position creates different opportunities and different risks. Each requires different strategies to establish and maintain. Position must be defended once. Achieved. Success attracts challenge, advantage invites attack. The master who gains superior position must remain vigilant against those who would displace him. He maintains his advantage through continued improvement and strategic awareness. But position is not permanent. Markets shift. Technologies change. Relationships evolve. The position that provides advantage today may become a liability tomorrow. The strategic mind monitors these changes and repositions accordingly. Control the field by controlling your position. Choose your ground carefully, occupy it completely, and defend it intelligently. From the right position, victory requires minimal effort. From the wrong position, even maximum effort produces minimal victory. Silence is the most powerful weapon in your arsenal. While others reveal their thoughts, you conceal yours. While others expose their plans, you protect yours. While others waste their energy in noise, you conserve yours in stillness. The master of silence controls information, and whoever controls information controls the outcome. Most people fear silence. They fill every pause with words, every gap with explanation, every moment of tension with unnecessary sound. They mistake noise for communication and volume for strength. They reveal more than they intend and learn less than they need. The strategic mind embraces silence as both shield and sword. It shields your intentions from observation. It shields your capabilities from assessment. It shields your weaknesses from exploitation. As a sword, it cuts through deception, exposes truth and forces others to reveal what they intended to hide. Listen to the negotiation where one party talks constantly while the other speaks sparingly. The talker reveals their limits, their fears, their true priorities. The silent one gathers intelligence, maintains mystery, and preserves their advantages. When the silent one finally speaks, their words carry weight that the talkers cannot match. Silence forces others to fill the void. In that filling, they reveal themselves. They expose their anxieties, their assumptions, their real agendas. They tell you what they think you want to hear, what they fear you might do, what they hope you will not discover. But let me ask you this. How much have you revealed through unnecessary words? How many advantages have you surrendered by speaking, when silence would have served you better? How many secrets have you given away, simply because you could not tolerate quiet? The undisciplined mind confuses activity with effectiveness. It believes that constant communication demonstrates engagement. It fears that silence will be interpreted as ignorance, weakness, or disinterest. It speaks to prove its presence rather than to achieve its purpose. The disciplined mind understands that silence communicates more powerfully than speech. It signals confidence, control, and depth. It suggests that you know something others do not. It implies that you are comfortable with your position and unconcerned by their pressure. Here is what most people don't understand. Silence is not emptiness. It is fullness restrained. It is knowledge held in reserve. It is power withheld until the moment of maximum impact. The master uses silence the way the archer uses tension in the bowstring. The strategic silence studies while others perform. It observes patterns while others create distractions. It identifies opportunities while others waste them in pointless conversation. It builds understanding while others build only noise. Consider the meeting where everyone speaks except the person who holds real authority. Their silence commands attention. When they finally speak, the room listens. Their words shape decisions because they were not cheapened by overuse. Your silence makes your words valuable. Your restraint makes your actions significant. Your stillness makes your movement powerful. In a world drowning in noise, silence becomes the rarest and most precious commodity. The master of silence chooses his words like ammunition. Each sentence serves a purpose. Each question achieves an objective. Each pause creates pressure. Nothing is wasted on display. Everything is preserved for effect. Silence reveals the true character of those around you. The insecure will rush to fill it with meaningless chatter. The manipulative will use it to create false intimacy. The wise will respect it and respond in kind. The foolish will mistake it for weakness and reveal their own. Use silence to create space for thought. Use it to build tension in negotiations. Use it to force others to show their true positions. Use it to maintain mystery about your capabilities. Use it to signal disapproval without creating conflict. The battlefield belongs to those who speak least and understand most. Let others exhaust themselves in explanation while you preserve your energy for execution. The victory belongs to the silent strategist who strikes when words have lost their power. The first to move reveals their strategy. The first to act exposes their capabilities. The first to commit limits their options. The master forces his opponent to move first, and in that movement finds the path to victory. Initiative is not about acting first. It is about making others act first while you retain perfect freedom to respond. Most people confuse aggression with advantage. They believe that striking first demonstrates strength. They rush to seize the initiative without understanding that the true initiative belongs to whoever controls the sequence of moves, not whoever makes the first move. The strategic mind creates conditions that force others to act. It presents situations that demand response. It applies pressure that cannot be ignored. It creates urgency in opponents while maintaining complete flexibility in itself. The master moves when movement serves him, not when movement is expected. Think of the poker player who forces others to bet first by maintaining perfect stillness, the negotiator who creates deadlines that pressure opponents into revealing their true positions, the competitor who lets rivals exhaust themselves attacking phantom weaknesses while real strengths remain hidden. When your opponent moves first, you gain multiple advantages. You see their strategy before revealing yours. You understand their capabilities before exposing yours. You observe their patterns before establishing yours. You learn their weaknesses before they discover yours. But let me ask you this. How often do you rush to fill silence in conversations? How often do you volunteer information before being asked? How often do you make offers before understanding what the other party truly wants? The impatient mind feels compelled to act. It mistakes inaction for weakness. It believes that doing nothing leads to nothing. It fails to recognize that sometimes the most powerful action is the action not taken, the move not made, the response not given. The disciplined mind understands that holding back creates more pressure than moving forward. It knows that restraint generates more curiosity than action. It recognizes that the unmade move often carries more weight than the made one. Here's what most people don't understand. Making others move first is not passive. It requires active creation of conditions that force movement. It demands careful construction of circumstances that make inaction impossible. It involves strategic application of pressure that demands response. The master baits his opponent into unfavorable positions. He creates apparent opportunities that are actually traps. He presents problems that can only be solved through actions that serve his purposes. He forces choices between bad options and worse options. Consider the employer who never makes the first salary offer, the investor who waits for others to reveal their desperation, the leader who lets subordinates propose solutions before indicating preferences, the competitor who allows rivals to establish positions before revealing superiors. Alternatives. Your opponents will tell you everything you need to know if you create the right conditions for them to speak. They will show you their true priorities if you force them to choose. They will reveal their real limitations if you make them stretch beyond their comfort zones. The strategic sequence is simple. Create pressure, wait for movement, observe the eyes response, then act with complete information. The opponent who moves first operates with incomplete information. The one who moves second operates with complete knowledge of the first mover's intentions. Patience is your weapon. Stillness is your strategy. The pressure you create through inaction forces others into action. The mystery you maintain through silence compels others to speak. The options you preserve through restraint disappear for those who commit too early. Control the timing of engagement. Force others to show their cards while you keep yours hidden. Make them commit their resources while you preserve yours. Let them exhaust their options while you maintain yours. The victory belongs to the one who moves. Last but moves with certainty. The first move loses the game. The last move wins it. All warfare is based on deception. When you are able to attack, appear unable. When you are using your forces, appear inactive. When you are near, make the enemy believe you are far. When you are far away, make them believe you are near. The home master wins not through superior force, but through superior misdirection. This is not about lies or dishonesty. This is about controlling information and managing perceptions. This is about letting others see what serves your purpose while concealing what would serve theirs. This is about strategic revelation and tactical concealment. Most people reveal everything and conceal nothing. They broadcast their strengths and advertise their weaknesses. They announce their plans and telegraph their moves. They mistake transparency for honesty and openness for wisdom. They give their opponents every advantage while claiming none for themselves. The strategic mind controls what others see, know, and believe. It reveals strength when strength deters. It shows weakness when weakness invites overconfidence. It appears simple when complexity would create suspicion. It seems complex when simplicity would reveal too much. Consider the entrepreneur who downplays their company's capabilities until the contract is signed. The negotiator, who appears to struggle with decisions that were made long ago. The competitor who seems unaware of market opportunities they are already positioning to capture. The appearance of weakness often provides more protection than actual strength. The enemy who believes you are weak will not prepare adequately. They will underestimate your capabilities. They will commit insufficient resources to the challenge you represent. They will discover their error only when it is too late to correct it. But let me ask you this: how often do you reveal your true position before it becomes necessary? How often do you show your full capabilities when partial revelation would suffice? How often do you telegraph your intentions when mystery would serve you better? The undisciplined mind believes that deception is complex. It creates elaborate lies that require constant maintenance. It builds false personas that eventually collapse under scrutiny. It invests more energy in maintaining deception than in developing actual capabilities. The disciplined mind understands that the best deception is allowing others to deceive themselves. It provides minimal information and lets opponents fill in the gaps with their own assumptions. It creates ambiguous situations where others project their fears and hopes onto incomplete evidence. Here is what most people don't understand. Deception is not about creating false realities. It is about revealing selective truths at strategic moments. Every truth you share shapes perception. Every detail you withhold preserves options. Every assumption others make becomes a potential advantage. The master of deception appears to be exactly what the opponent expects to see. If they expect weakness, he appears weak until the moment of strike. If they expect aggression, he appears passive until they lower their guard. If they expect complexity, he appears simple until they underestimate his sophistication. Your reputation itself becomes a weapon of deception. Build a reputation for one approach, then succeed through its opposite. Establish patterns of behavior, then break them at the crucial moment. Create expectations, then violate them when violation serves your purpose. The opponent who knows your true capabilities will prepare appropriately. The opponent who misjudges your capabilities will prepare inadequately. The difference between appropriate preparation and inadequate preparation is often the difference between victory and defeat. Control the narrative about yourself. Shape the story others tell. Influence the assumptions they make. Guide the conclusions they reach. Let them think they understand you while ensuring they understand only what you want them to understand. Appear weak when you are strong. Appear strong when you are weak. Appear interested when you're indifferent. Appear indifferent when you're desperate. The master juggles perceptions like weapons, deploying each at the moment of maximum impact. Victory belongs to those who control not just the battlefield, but the story about the battlefield. Win the war of perception, and the actual war becomes effortless. Emotion is the enemy of strategy. Anger clouds judgment. Fear paralyzes action. Excitement breeds recklessness. Pride invites destruction. The master observes these forces in himself and others, but never allows them to control his decisions. He uses emotion as information, never as instruction. Your opponents will try to trigger your emotions. They will provoke your anger to make you careless. They will amplify your fears to make you hesitant. They will appeal to your pride to make you overconfident. They will exploit your desires to make you impulsive. Emotional reaction is their weapon against your strategic thinking. The undisciplined mind becomes the slave of its emotions. It makes decisions based on how it feels rather than what it knows. It reacts to provocation instead of responding to opportunity. It seeks emotional satisfaction instead of strategic advantage. It mistakes feeling strong for being strong. The strategic mind treats emotions like weather, natural forces to be observed, understood, and navigated, but never mistaken for reality itself. Rain does not make the general change his campaign. Strategy. Storm does not make the admiral abandon his destination. Emotion does not make the master abandon his purpose. Consider the negotiation where one party gets angry and storms out. They have revealed their true position, their emotional triggers, and their lack of self-control. The disciplined negotiator notes this information, adjusts strategy accordingly, and waits for the emotional storm to pass before resuming productive engagement. But let me ask you this: how many opportunities have you lost because anger made you speak too quickly? How many mistakes have you made because fear made you hesitate too long? How many poor decisions came from choosing what felt good over what was strategically sound? Emotional discipline is not emotional suppression. The master does not eliminate emotions. He channels them. Anger becomes focused determination. Fear becomes careful preparation. Excitement becomes sustained energy. Sadness becomes deeper understanding. Every emotion serves strategy when strategy controls emotion. The disciplined mind creates space between feeling and action. It observes the emotion, understands its message, and then chooses the response that serves long-term objectives rather than short-term feelings. It feels everything but acts only on strategic considerations. Here's what most people don't understand. Your emotional state is visible to those who know how to look. Your micro-expressions, your voice tone, your body language, your word choices, all broadcast your internal condition. The master of emotion gives away nothing while reading everything. Watch your opponents when pressure increases. Notice how they breathe when stakes rise. Observe their word choices when they feel threatened. Study their body language when they think they are winning or losing. These emotional tells reveal more than any direct question ever could. The strategic mind uses others' emotions against them. It remains calm when they are agitated, creating contrast that highlights their instability. It stays focused when they are scattered, demonstrating competence through comparison. It maintains perspective when they lose theirs, appearing wise by remaining centered. Your emotional discipline becomes your competitive advantage. While others exhaust themselves in emotional reactions, you conserve energy for strategic action. While others make decisions they will regret, you make decisions you can defend. While others react to circumstances, you respond to opportunities. The master treats his own emotions like advisors. He listens to their counsel, but makes his own decisions. Fear advises caution, but does not dictate retreat. Anger advises action, but does not determine timing. Pride advises confidence, but does not justify recklessness. Train yourself to feel everything and react to nothing. Develop the ability to experience strong emotions while maintaining clear thinking. Practice separating emotional information from emotional instruction. Learn to use feelings as data while keeping strategy as your guide. The battle is won by those who think clearly while others feel strongly. Emotional discipline transforms every conflict into a contest between clear thinking and clouded judgment. Clear thinking wins. Conflict feeds on attention. Remove the attention, and the conflict starves. Most battles continue only because both sides keep feeding them energy, focus, and emotional investment. The master wins by withdrawing his energy while allowing the opponent to exhaust theirs fighting shadows. Every argument requires two participants. Every feud demands mutual engagement. Every confrontation needs reciprocal energy. When you refuse to provide your half of the fuel, the fire cannot burn. The opponent who continues fighting alone quickly reveals themselves as the true aggressor. Most people believe that disengaging means losing. They think that stepping back signals weakness. They fear that withdrawal invites attack. They mistake the ability to fight with the necessity to fight. They feed conflicts that would die naturally. If left unfed, the strategic mind understands that some battles are won by not fighting them. It recognizes that engagement often legitimizes conflicts that deserve no legitimacy. It knows that response often rewards behavior that merits no reward. It sees that attention often empowers opponents who possess no real power. Consider the person who tries to provoke you with insults. If you respond, you validate their strategy and encourage repetition. If you ignore them, you starve their provocation of its intended effect. They may escalate temporarily, but escalation without response eventually exhausts itself. Think of the competitor who spreads rumors about your business. If you dignify the rumors with responses, you amplify their reach and suggest they might contain truth. If you ignore them while focusing on superior performance, the rumors die while your reputation grows through demonstrated excellence. But let me ask you this. How much of your energy goes to conflicts that matter to no one but you? How many battles do you fight that accomplish nothing but draining your resources? How often do you feed dramas that would starve without your participation? The undisciplined mind feels compelled to respond to every provocation. It mistakes reaction for strength and engagement for effectiveness. It believes that letting challenges go unanswered invites more challenges. It fails to see that some challenges answer themselves when left alone. The disciplined mind chooses its battles based on strategic value, not emotional trigger. It engages when engagement serves long-term objectives. It withdraws when withdrawal preserves resources for more important conflicts. It never fights for the sake of fighting. Here's what most people don't understand. Your attention is finite and valuable. Every moment you spend on worthless conflicts is a moment stolen from worthwhile pursuits. Every ounce of energy you feed to meaningless battles is energy unavailable for meaningful progress. The master starves conflicts by offering no resistance to resist. Like water that yields to the rock, he flows around obstacles rather than fighting through them. The opponent who seeks confrontation finds nothing to confront. The aggressor who demands reaction discovers nothing to trigger. Observe how conflicts escalate and de-escalate. Notice how they grow when fed and shrink when ignored. Watch how participants lose interest when their provocations produce no response. Study how conflicts die when one party simply stops participating. Your withdrawal must be strategic, not emotional. Emotional withdrawal communicates hurt or defeat. Strategic withdrawal communicates superior priorities and better options. The master withdraws not because he cannot fight, but because the fight is beneath his objectives. Some opponents will escalate when you withdraw, hoping to force re-engagement. This escalation often reveals the true nature of their character and motivation. Let others see them fighting alone, demanding attention, desperately seeking reactions that will not come. The energy you save by avoiding worthless conflicts becomes available for valuable pursuits. The focus you preserve by ignoring meaningless provocations can be applied to meaningful opportunities. The peace you maintain by starving drama feeds the strength you need for genuine challenges. Starve the fight of your energy and watch it starve itself of existence. The battle that cannot find a second participant quickly ceases to be a battle at all. In chaos, the clear mind becomes king. When confusion reigns, clarity rules. When others stumble in darkness, the one who sees the path controls the outcome. Chaos is not your enemy, it is your opportunity. While others panic, you prepare. While leche, others react, you respond. While others guess, you know. Most people are paralyzed by uncertainty. They need perfect information before they act. They demand guaranteed outcomes before they commit. They wait for clarity to arrive instead of creating it themselves. They mistake complexity for impossibility and confusion for defeat. The strategic mind thrives in uncertain conditions. It sees patterns others miss because it looks for principles instead of details. It finds opportunity in disruption because it understands that change always creates winners and losers. It navigates chaos because it has already mapped the underlying structures. Chaos is simply order operating at a level too complex for most minds to process. The master reduces complexity to simple principles. He identifies the few variables that matter most and ignores the many variables that matter least. He finds the signal in the noise and the pattern in the randomness. Think of the financial crisis that destroys some investors while enriching others, the technological disruption that eliminates some companies while creating others, the social change that confuses some leaders while empowering others. The difference is not luck, it is clarity, a vision applied under pressure. But let me ask you this: how do you perform when circumstances become unpredictable? When information is incomplete? When time is short and stakes are high? Do you freeze or do you focus? Do you panic or do you prioritize? The confused mind sees only problems. It becomes overwhelmed by the number of variables and possibilities. It mistakes complicated situations for impossible situations. It assumes that because something is difficult to understand, it must be impossible to navigate. The clear mind sees problems as puzzles to be solved. It breaks complexity into manageable components. It identifies which elements can be controlled and which must be accepted. It focuses energy on influence and accepts what lies beyond influence. Here's what most people don't understand. Clarity is not about having all the answers. It is about asking the right questions. It is not about eliminating uncertainty. It is about operating effectively despite uncertainty. It is not about predicting the future. It is about preparing for multiple futures. The master maintains clarity through systematic thinking. He establishes priorities before pressure arrives. He develops principles before problems emerge. He creates frameworks for decision-making that function regardless of specific circumstances. When chaos erupts, others look for leaders. The person who maintains clarity becomes that leader by default. The voice that speaks with certainty in uncertain times gains authority that no title can provide. The mind that offers direction when others offer confusion commands attention and respect. Your ability to think clearly under pressure becomes your greatest competitive advantage. While others lose their bearings, you maintain yours. While others make emotional decisions, you make strategic ones. While others react to symptoms, you address causes. Clarity comes from preparation meeting opportunity. The clear mind has already considered multiple scenarios. It has already developed response strategies. It has already identified key indicators and decision points. When chaos arrives, it implements rather than improvises. The strategic mind treats chaos like any other form of terrain. It studies the conditions. It identifies the hazards and opportunities. It chooses the best path based on available information. It moves with confidence because it has prepared for uncertainty. Cut through confusion by focusing on fundamentals. Return to basic principles when situations become complex. Ask simple questions when others ask complicated ones. Seek the core issue when others get lost in peripheral details. Clarity is your sword against chaos. Simplicity is your shield against complexity. Understanding is your map through confusion. The victory belongs to those who see clearly when others see only darkness. The desire for recognition is the enemy of achievement. When you need others to acknowledge your success, you give them power over your satisfaction. When you require credit for your contributions, you limit your ability to influence outcomes. The master focuses on results, not recognition. He shapes events, not opinions about events. Most people work for applause rather than accomplishment. They choose visible actions over effective ones. They seek credit for their efforts rather than focusing on their outcomes. They waste energy managing perceptions instead of managing realities. They become performers instead of producers. The strategic mind understands that credit is a distraction from purpose. It recognizes that the need for acknowledgement often conflicts with the need for results. It knows that sometimes the most effective action is the action no one notices, the influence no one detects, the contribution no one credits. Consider the advisor who shapes decisions without taking credit for them, The team member who solves problems without announcing their solutions. The leader who enables others' success while remaining in the background. Their influence grows precisely because they do not demand recognition for it. The paradox of credit is simple. Those who seek it least often receive it most. Those who focus on results rather than recognition find that recognition follows results naturally. Those who prioritize substance over appearance discover that substance creates lasting reputation, while appearance creates only temporary attention. But let me ask you this: how often do you choose the action that brings credit over the action that brings results? How much energy do you spend ensuring others know about your contributions? How many opportunities do you miss because they do not offer sufficient recognition? The ego-driven mind needs constant validation. It measures success by external acknowledgement rather than actual achievement. It performs for the audience instead of performing for the outcome. It mistakes visibility for value and attention for accomplishment. The results-driven mind measures success by objective standards. It cares more about what happens than about who gets credit for making it happen. It values influence over visibility, substance over style, long-term impact over short-term recognition. Here's what most people don't understand. Seeking credit often reduces your actual influence. When you claim responsibility, you invite scrutiny. When you demand recognition, you create resistance. When you compete for credit, you distract from collaboration. The master works through others to achieve his objectives. He influences without being seen to influence. He contributes without claiming credit. He enables success without requiring acknowledgement. His fingerprints are on every victory, but his name appears on none of them. This is not about self-sacrifice or false modesty. This is about strategic effectiveness. The person who operates without needing credit can work with anyone, influence anyone, and achieve outcomes that credit seekers cannot reach because their ego does not interfere with their effectiveness. Your reputation should be built on results, not claims. Let your achievements speak louder than your announcements. Let your track record prove your value rather than your marketing. Let others discover your contributions through their effects rather than through your advertisements. The strategic mind understands that power is often inversely related to its visibility. The most influential people frequently operate behind the scenes. The most effective leaders often enable others to lead. The most successful contributors often remain uncredited for their contributions. Focus on outcomes over optics. Prioritize substance over recognition. Choose effective action over visible action. Work for results that last rather than applause that fades. Build influence through achievement rather than through announcement. The master plants trees whose shade he will never enjoy, builds bridges he will never cross, solves problems he will never get credit for solving. His satisfaction comes from the knowledge that the outcome serves the greater purpose, regardless of who receives the recognition. Results speak louder than claims. Achievement matters more than acknowledgement. The victory belongs to those who make it happen, not to those who take credit for it happening. The battle is decided before it begins. Victory belongs to those who prepare while others procrastinate. The outcome becomes inevitable during preparation, not during performance. When the moment arrives, the prepared mind simply executes what it has already perfected in advance. Most people prepare for failure by failing to prepare. They wait until pressure arrives to develop their capabilities. They attempt to learn during the test instead of before it. They hope their natural abilities will compensate for their lack of systematic preparation. They discover too late that hope is not a strategy. The strategic mind treats preparation as the real work and performance as the natural result. It understands that what happens in public is determined by what happened in private. It knows that the visible moment of victory is simply the culmination of invisible moments of preparation. Think of the negotiator who researches every detail before entering the room, the athlete who trains for years to perform for minutes, the surgeon who studies every possible complication before making the first incision, the entrepreneur who models every scenario before launching the business. Their success appears effortless because their preparation was comprehensive. Preparation is not just about gathering information or developing skills. It is about creating mental models for every possible situation. It is about rehearsing responses to likely challenges. It is about building systems that function under pressure. It is about eliminating uncertainty through advanced planning. But let me ask you this: how much time do you spend preparing compared to performing? When you fail, is it because you lacked ability or because you lacked preparation? How many opportunities have you missed because you were not ready when they arrived? The unprepared mind believes that talent conquers all. It relies on natural ability instead of developed capability. It assumes that intelligence will compensate for inexperience. It trusts that motivation will overcome lack of planning. It learns through expensive mistakes that could have been avoided through inexpensive preparation. The prepared mind eliminates variables that can be controlled in advance. It anticipates problems and develops solutions before problems arise. It identifies potential obstacles and creates paths around them. It transforms unknown challenges into familiar exercises through systematic preparation. Here's what most people don't understand. Preparation is not about predicting the future perfectly. It is about building the capability to respond effectively, regardless of what the future brings. It is not about eliminating all surprises. It is about developing the flexibility to handle any surprise. The master prepares for success by preparing for failure. He identifies everything that could go wrong and develops contingency plans. He stress tests his strategies under worst-case scenarios. He builds redundancy into critical systems. He prepares backup plans for his backup plans. Preparation multiplies your capabilities. The prepared mind operates at a higher level because it is not distracted by uncertainty. It can focus on execution because planning is already complete. It can respond quickly because responses have been rehearsed. It can adapt smoothly because adaptation has been anticipated. Your competition prepares for the game they expect to play. You should prepare for the game they don't expect to play. Your preparation should include scenarios they haven't considered, responses they haven't planned for, capabilities they don't know you possess. The prepared mind treats every performance as practice for the next challenge. It learns from every experience and incorporates those lessons into future preparation. It builds a library of tested responses and proven strategies. It treats preparation as a continuous process, not a one-time event. Perfect preparation makes performance appear effortless. Thorough preparation makes complex challenges seem simple. Complete preparation transforms potential disasters into manageable situations. Superior preparation converts uncertainty into confidence. The outcome is decided during preparation. Performance simply reveals what preparation has already determined. Prepare like your life depends on it, because your success certainly does. Victory belongs to those who earn it in advance. The highest form of strength is knowing when not to use it. The greatest victory is sometimes the battle you choose not to fight. The most powerful move is often the move you decide not to make. Walking away is not retreat. It is the ultimate expression of strategic control. Most people confuse engagement with strength. They believe that backing down signals weakness. They think that walking away means giving up. They mistake persistence for wisdom and stubbornness for courage. They fight battles they cannot win because they cannot admit the battles are not worth fighting. The strategic mind understands that not every hill is worth dying on. It recognizes that some victories cost more than defeats. It knows that preserving resources for winnable battles is more valuable than exhausting them on impossible ones. It sees walking away as advancement toward better opportunities. Consider the investor who refuses to chase losses, The negotiator who walks away from unfavorable terms, the employee who leaves a toxic environment, the entrepreneur who abandons a failing strategy. Their strength is demonstrated not by their ability to endure bad situations, but by their wisdom to escape them. Walking away requires more courage than staying. Staying is often the easy choice, familiar, predictable, comfortable. Walking away demands that you face uncertainty, admit mistakes, and trust your judgment over social pressure. It requires confidence in your ability to find better options. But let me ask you this. How many situations in your life would improve if you had the courage to walk away? How much energy do you waste on relationships, projects, or commitments that serve no positive purpose? How many opportunities do you miss because you cannot release what no longer serves you? The trapped mind believes that walking away equals failure. It thinks that changing course means admitting error. It assumes that others will judge retreat as weakness. It fails to recognize that the ability to walk away gives you power in every negotiation, relationship, and situation. The free mind understands that walking away is always an option. This knowledge transforms every interaction. When you can genuinely walk away, you negotiate from strength. When you are willing to leave, others compete to keep you. When you demonstrate that you have alternatives, your value increases. Here's what most people don't understand. The willingness to walk away must be genuine. It cannot be a bluff or manipulation. It must be based on actual alternatives and real. Confidence in your ability to create better situations. False willingness is quickly detected and easily called. The master cultivates the ability to walk away by building genuine alternatives. He develops multiple options so that no single relationship, opportunity, or situation controls his fate. He maintains independence so that he can choose based on merit rather than necessity. Walking away sends a powerful message to yourself and others. It demonstrates that you value your time, energy, and well-being. It shows that you have standards and enforce them. It proves that you are not desperate, dependent, or easily manipulated. Some people will respect your willingness to walk away. Others will be threatened by it. Those who respect it are worth engaging. Those who are threatened by it reveal their intention to exploit your perceived inability to leave. The strategic walkaway is not emotional or dramatic. It is calm, professional, and final. It does not seek to punish or prove points. It simply recognizes that continuing serves no valuable purpose and that better options exist elsewhere. Your power increases when others know you can walk away. Your position strengthens when you demonstrate genuine alternatives. Your value rises when you show you are not captive to any single option. Know when to hold and when to fold. Know when to fight and when to withdraw. Know when to persist and when to pivot. The wisdom to walk away at the right time often determines whether you walk toward something better or remain trapped in something worse. Walking away is not giving up. It is giving yourself permission to find something worth staying for. The supreme skill is to defeat your enemy without ever striking a blow. The highest victory leaves your opponent standing but unable to fight. The greatest conquest happens not through destruction, but through transformation, converting opposition into irrelevance, resistance into cooperation, enemies into allies. Most people think victory requires domination. They believe that winning means the other side must lose. They assume that defeating opposition requires attacking it directly. They waste enormous energy in frontal assaults when strategic maneuvering could achieve the same result with minimal effort. The strategic mind understands that the most complete victories happen without violence. It seeks to make opposition unnecessary rather than to overcome it. It removes the foundation of resistance rather than fighting the resistance itself. It wins by making the fight irrelevant. Think of the company that makes competitors obsolete through innovation rather than defeating them through competition. The leader who eliminates opposition by addressing the concerns that created it. The negotiator who finds solutions that serve everyone's interests instead of forcing one-sided compromises. The art of collapse without attack works through multiple pathways. Remove the opponent's motivation to fight. Eliminate their ability to sustain conflict. Create better alternatives that make resistance pointless. Transform the situation so that opposition no longer serves their interests. But let me ask you this. How often do you choose confrontation over conversion? How much energy do you spend fighting opposition instead of understanding what created it? How many victories could you achieve by making enemies unnecessary rather than by defeating them? The direct fighter meets force with force. He matches aggression with aggression. He answers attack with counterattack. He believes that superior force will eventually prevail. Sometimes he is right, but the cost is always higher than necessary. The indirect master makes force irrelevant. He changes the rules instead of playing by them. He reframes the conflict instead of engaging it. He shifts the battlefield to ground where his advantages multiply and opponent weaknesses become fatal. Here's what most people don't understand. Opposition often exists because people feel unheard, undervalued, or threatened. Address the underlying needs, and the opposition frequently dissolves naturally. Fight the symptoms, and the disease grows stronger. The master studies why people oppose him before deciding how to respond. He identifies their fears, needs, and motivations. He looks for ways to address their concerns while advancing his objectives. He seeks win-win solutions even in apparently zero-sum situations. Sometimes opposition collapses when you simply stop feeding it. Remove the attention it craves. Withdraw the resistance it pushes against. Eliminate the conflict it requires for existence. Like a fire deprived of oxygen, opposition without fuel extinguishes itself. Other times, opposition collapses when you make it more expensive than cooperation. Raise the cost of resistance while lowering the cost of alignment. Make opposition exhausting while making cooperation rewarding. Create incentives that naturally redirect opposing energy toward shared objectives. The strategic transformation of enemies into allies creates exponential returns. The energy that was working against you now works for you. The intelligence that was plotting your defeat now contributes to your success. The resources devoted to opposition now serve your objectives. This is not about manipulation or deception. This is about understanding that most opposition stems from genuine concerns that can be addressed through creative solutions. People oppose what threatens them and support what serves them. Change the equation, and you change the response. The master builds bridges where others build walls. He creates inclusion where others create exclusion. He finds common ground where others see only differences. He transforms adversaries into allies, not through force but through wisdom. Victory without attack preserves resources for future challenges. It maintains relationships that might prove valuable later. It demonstrates leadership capacity that attracts followers. It shows strategic sophistication that earns respect. Collapse opposition by removing its foundation. Win without fighting by making fighting unnecessary. The greatest victories leave everyone standing, but with the former opposition now facing the same direction you are. Your energy is your most precious resource. Waste it, and you have nothing left for what truly matters. Conserve it, and you can accomplish what seems impossible. The master treats energy like ammunition. Every expenditure must serve a strategic purpose. Every action must advance the objective. Every effort must justify its cost. Most people scatter their energy like seeds thrown to the wind. They invest equal effort in important and trivial matters. They exhaust themselves on urgent tasks while neglecting vital ones. They mistake being busy for being productive and confuse motion with progress. They arrive at crucial moments already depleted. The strategic mind operates like a laser, not a floodlight. It concentrates energy on targets that matter rather than illuminating everything equally. It chooses battles that advance the campaign rather than fighting every skirmish that presents itself. It preserves strength for decisive moments instead of wasting it on meaningless encounters. Think of the entrepreneur who focuses on core business functions instead of trying to excel at everything. The athlete who peaks for major competitions rather than every practice session. The investor who waits for exceptional opportunities rather than chasing every market movement. They understand that strategic conservation enables maximum impact. Energy conservation is not about doing less. It is about doing what matters most. It is not about avoiding effort. It is about ensuring that effort produces proportional results. It is not about being lazy. It is about being selective with your intensity. But let me ask you this. Where does your energy go each day? How much effort do you spend on activities that produce minimal results? How often do you arrive at important moments too tired to perform? At your best, the undisciplined mind reacts to whatever demands attention. It treats all requests as equally urgent. It responds to every provocation and pursues every opportunity. It fails to distinguish between what appears important and what actually matters. It operates in constant emergency mode until exhaustion makes everything equally ineffective. The disciplined mind chooses its investments carefully. It identifies the activities that produce the highest returns and allocates energy accordingly. It says no to good opportunities in order to say yes to exceptional ones. It maintains reserves for unexpected challenges and breakthrough moments. Here's what most people don't understand. Your energy level affects the quality of everything you do. When you are fresh, your thinking is sharp, your decisions are sound, and your execution is precise. When you are depleted, everything suffers regardless of your skills or knowledge. The master manages energy like a strategic resource. He identifies his peak performance periods and schedules crucial activities accordingly. He recognizes his natural rhythms and works with them rather than against them. He builds recovery time into his schedule instead of treating it as an afterthought. Energy preservation requires ruthless prioritization. Not everything that seems urgent actually is. Not every opportunity deserves pursuit. Not every request merits response. Not every problem demands immediate attention. The ability to distinguish between what seems important and what truly matters determines how effectively you use your finite energy. Consider the executive who handles only decisions that require their unique expertise while delegating everything else. The artist who creates only when inspiration and energy align instead of forcing production. The leader who chooses battles that shape the future rather than fighting every immediate conflict. Your physical energy affects your mental clarity. Your mental energy affects your emotional stability. Your emotional energy affects your spiritual strength. These systems are interconnected. Depletion in one area weakens all others. Recovery in one area strengthens all others. The strategic mind treats energy as compound interest. Energy invested wisely today creates capacity for greater energy tomorrow. Energy wasted today creates deficits that take time to recover. Small daily choices about energy allocation create massive long-term differences in capability. Preserve your energy for what matters most. Focus your effort where it produces the greatest impact. Save your strength for battles that determine outcomes. The victory belongs to those who arrive at decisive moments with full reserves, while opponents arrive already exhausted. Chance favors the prepared, but the master creates his own chances. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity, but the strategic mind creates both the preparation and the opportunity. Effortless victory is not effortless because it requires no effort. It is effortless because all effort has been invested in advance. Most people rely on hope disguised as strategy. They prepare for the best case and pray it happens. They make plans based on ideal conditions and wonder why reality disappoints them. They confuse wishful thinking with strategic planning and optimism with operational readiness. The strategic mind eliminates uncertainty wherever possible. It identifies every variable that can be controlled and controls it. It anticipates every problem that can be prevented and prevents it. It creates backup plans for backup plans. It transforms random events into predictable outcomes through superior preparation. Nothing is left to chance because chance is too expensive. The cost of uncertainty is always higher than the cost of preparation. The price of being wrong is always greater than the investment in being right. The master pays these costs in advance through planning rather than during crisis through reaction. Think of the surgeon who reviews the patient's complete medical history before operating, the pilot who checks every system before takeoff, the general who scouts every route before marching, the negotiator who researches every detail before entering discussions. They succeed because they eliminate variables that could cause failure. But let me ask you this: what aspects of your success are you leaving to chance? What critical outcomes depend on factors you have not prepared for? What failures could you prevent through better planning and more thorough preparation? The unprepared mind believes that some uncertainty is inevitable and uses this belief to justify inadequate preparation. It treats planning as optional and preparation as excessive. It relies on natural ability to compensate for systematic preparation. It discovers too late that talent without preparation is insufficient for significant challenges. The prepared mind treats uncertainty as a problem to be solved, not a condition to be accepted. It systematically identifies potential points of failure and develops solutions before failure becomes possible. It creates redundancy in critical systems. It builds contingency plans for unlikely but catastrophic scenarios. Here's what most people don't understand. The goal is not to eliminate all uncertainty. The goal is to eliminate uncertainty in areas where you can exercise control and to prepare comprehensively for areas where you cannot. Perfect preparation does not require perfect prediction. The master controls what can be controlled and prepares for what cannot be controlled. He influences probability by stacking favorable conditions. He creates multiple paths to success so that failure in one area does not prevent victory overall. He builds systems that function regardless of specific circumstances. Leaving nothing to chance means thinking through every detail that could matter. It means testing your plans under stress before stress arrives. It means identifying your assumptions and validating them before betting your success on them. It means building margin for error into your calculations. The prepared mind models multiple scenarios and develops responses for each one. Best case, worst case, and most likely case all receive attention and preparation. When the actual situation unfolds, the master simply implements the appropriate pre-developed response. Your competition leaves critical elements to chance. They hope their talent will be enough. They assume favorable conditions will continue. They trust that problems will resolve themselves. They depend on luck to bridge the gap between their preparation and their objectives. You will succeed because you leave nothing to chance. Every detail that can be controlled has been controlled. Every problem that can be anticipated has been solved in advance. Every resource that might be needed has been secured or positioned for quick access. Effortless victory is the natural result of complete preparation. When every variable has been addressed, every contingency planned, and every detail perfected, success becomes inevitable. The outcome appears effortless to observers because the effort was invested where they could not see it. You already have what it takes. Now go prove it.